Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the talk show. I'm your host, DJ Gatsby. Today, our guest is Rhonda Wilson. Dikoko, is that the you went by pronouncing your name right?
That's exactly correct.
All right. Yeah, this is DJ Gatsby. We're on StreamYard today, not Zoom. You can watch us on Facebook Live. So big shout out to everybody that's out there watching us on Facebook Live. Tell your family, friends, co-workers, church members, and everybody else. Go on Facebook Live, the DJ Gatsby Show. We have the one and only Rhonda Wilson, Dikoko, on the show. So, Rhonda, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much
How are
for taking
you?
time to get in the schedule to do the interview. We've been talking about it for a few weeks, about you coming on, and I've sat back and watched your book launch, book signings, and things of that nature. So I'm happy to finally get you on the show and do this interview.
Thank you.
All right, so as always, I ask my guests to, tell my viewers who you are and where you're from and what is it that you do.
Okay. Well, you already introduced me. My name is Rhonda Wilson Dikoko. I'm originally from Alabama, actually from Newtonville, a small town called Fayette, probably two lights, you'll miss it. That's where I grew up. But at 22, I left and I went overseas. So I kind of feel like I'm more of a foreigner, coming back. I'm married, I have 3 children, and I'm a grandma. I have 2 grandchildren. I'm I'm a writer, I'm a blogger, I'm a minister, I'm a nurse. So I'm just, I'm all of that.
All right, congratulations. Sound like you've been real busy in your time away from Fayette, Alabama. For everybody who's watching, you guys know me good. Anybody knows I'm from Fayette, Alabama as well. There's going to be some things correlated and some coincidences revealed here doing this interview today. But congratulations and thanks for being on the show. For those of you who don't know, you may see some coincidence with the last name Wilson. Her last name is Wilson. My last name is Wilson. I'm her nephew and she's my aunt. So proud to announce that to all my friends on Facebook. Big shout to my other aunts. And I'm sure she'll be mentioning those during the interview as we talk more about her. But big shout out to everybody in Fayette, Newtonville, Fayette County, Tuscaloosa, the whole Alabama family that we all represent. So thanks again, Auntie, for agreeing to come on your nephew's, humble little Facebook Live show.
I am honored.
All right, so before we start talking about your travels and all the things that you've accomplished during your life, we really want to touch base on the book. We have a lot of readers and viewers who've been following me with my TV show the last few months, and we basically have been featuring authors, writers, publishers, and people in the book business. So tell us a little bit about your writing career. When did you start writing? Why did you start writing? And then we'll get into the book.
Okay, thank you. Well, actually, growing up, I wanted to become a journalist, but my dad told me that I needed to become a nurse because he said, this is practical. You'll always find a job. People will always be sick. And so I did what my dad wanted. And then afterwards, I found myself in Congo, and everyone kept saying, you need to write about your experiences. And I took a creative writing class and I started writing. But this particular book that I wrote, Released Of, I was impelled to write this book because of an experience that happened with my grandson.
Okay. All right. So that's a very interesting story. It seems like the book is it about your life? It's loosely based on your life? It's memoirs or about experiences in your life? Now, what is the title of the book?
The title of the book is Released to Dove. I've got 3 here, actually. So I've got the book, I've got the workbook, and I've got the devotional. So it's called Release Trio. So there are 3. The title is Release to Dove. And I actually got the title from my pastor in Alabama because when I told him the story, he held the manuscript in his hand and he said, Evangelist, he said, release the dove of the Holy Spirit everywhere you are. And I named it that, but it's a longer story within a story that
All
maybe
right,
I'll get to during the interview.
what does the title actually mean, Release the Dove? I mean, people release doves for weddings and celebrations and remembrance of people who passed. What does the title, Release the Dove, mean pertaining to your book?
Release the Dove started way back when I got married, actually. On my wedding day, everybody looks forward to getting photographs. You're so excited, to get all of your photographs. We do not have any professional photographs. Something happened to them, don't ask me. But my sister Sarah took a picture with a Polaroid camera, and here it is. And on this picture, I don't know if you can see it.
No,
There
I can't
is
see
a
it. You're going to get a
rainbow
reflection.
that
You're going to get a
appeared.
reflection, but it's okay. You haven't
There's a
picked up
rainbow
the
that
picture from your
appeared on the
dad.
picture. And in
Okay.
Congo, after 7 years of living there, that's in West Africa, God gave me my covenant. And this covenant not only covered my husband and myself because of the rainbow and the story of Noah, but it also covered my posterity. I had the opportunity to name my grandson Olivier when he was born. And Olivier is French, and it comes from the dove that Noah released. And there was an olive branch in the dove's mouth. So olive, that's where Olivier's name came from. So that's basically how the title came about.
Wow, I would kind of recap that, but I can't. I can't. That was a whole lot. So the title of the book is Release the Dove. You showed me three books. So tell me about all three books. It's a companion set. All three go together. There's different meanings and different contents in all three books. So go through each book and tell me what the significance they are to each other.
Thank you. Release the Dove book is actually the story that took place. It's we had the opportunity to help raise my grandson, and it was an honor. He came, we thought, a little bit soon. I was still very young, and but we had the opportunity to help raise him a lot. And on the last occasion that he stayed with us, we were in Malaysia, and so he became very sick. So that's what the book is all about, what happened during that time. So I was leading a Bible study, and I did not tell the ladies what was going on. I just said he's sick, and they just started praying. So when I came back from that ordeal, they told me to tell them the story. So when I did, there was not a dry eye in the room, and they said, you must write. So I wrote the book mainly for my Bible study, and because I was the Bible study leader, I wrote it as a nurse writing a journal. And afterwards, I thought nobody's going to really understand the spiritual connotation of this book. And so after I published it in 2017, I did it on Amazon first. The Lord just impressed upon my heart to write a workbook, which is a companion. I thought this makes sense. I'm a Bible study teacher. Let me write a workbook so people can understand how I came about to write the book. So I wrote that workbook within 1 week. And then I got a publisher out of England that published both books in 2017. And just this year, I was headed to Israel and Italy with a friend to write this companion, which is a devotional. And I got turned around when I was in Holland because of COVID. This was in March. And I wrote in quarantine from the confines of my home. And so it's a companion to it. So you have the book, you have the workbook that goes along with the book, and now you also have a devotional.
Okay, wow, that's a lot. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
I assume you encouraging everyone to buy all three at one time because you need them. They all explain each other and how they came about. Now, did you self-publish this book? You mentioned something about a publisher from England. When you originally did the book, was it self-published, third-party publisher, or someone else? Who published the first book for you?
When I first published the book, I was, like I said, I was not really looking for any fame or for a lot of people to read the book. I really did it for my Bible study. And we had 50-something ladies and women from all over the world. So my daughter, who's a graphic artist, actually helped me. And so I published it via Amazon. But afterwards, I thought, okay, let's do the real deal. And so I contacted a publisher in England, and I published both. All three were published by him. He's actually he's my publisher now. I've got some other books that he's going to publish for me as well.
All right, so you originally self-published. It seems like your daughter helped you, but then you re-released the books through another publisher that did all three. Wow. All right. So with the book deal, so you've done those three books. I recently saw pictures of you somewhere, with the book. What were you at? A book signing, a book release event? What was that book? What was you recently doing, and where was that at?
Yeah, this was the group that I kind of led for about 7 years is called Oasis. And these women are from all over the world. And so one of them, Carol Smart, was leaving. And so we just organized a farewell for her. And I also did a soft book lunch while I was there. So those were some of the original ladies that were there when my son got sick, especially Carol. She was with me when my grandson got sick. And so they were there, and I did a Bible study with them. I did this Bible study with them as well in January. So it's really been a blessing. But that's my dream, is to really do this Bible study with women, with men, so that they can understand the importance of the Word of God.
When you say Bible study, um, you mean the book? Because I'm just asking you. I thought you did a book signing. I saw people posing with pictures of the book, so I thought, and I could have been wrong. I was assuming it was a book signing or an event where people could come
Yes.
familiar with your book. So it was an event where you had the opportunity to present your book, but it was a going away party for a friend of yours. All right, cool.
Yeah, well, from the main, from one of the people that was there when the story took place. And so, like I said, initially when I wrote this book, I didn't write it like for public. I wrote it for the people that were in the Bible study in Malaysia. And so a lot of those people are here in Houston where I am. And so I did a Bible study with them, because this is what it is. It's a Bible study. And so, yeah, some of them were there, and I had a chance to sign, their books while I was there. So that was really, really wonderful. It served as a soft lunch as well as a farewell.
All right, so listen, let me get a clear understanding about the book. Is this a Bible study book? Is it a religious-based book? Is it an educational book? Because when you said you're using it in a Bible study, it's in with the workbooks. And I'm not too familiar. I've gone to church and I've gone to Bible study. We usually study, scriptures from the book, from the Bible, and we discuss scriptures. So when you said this, it's you use it during Bible study. What is the religious connotations of the book here? Because I think I'm missing something here about the book. What is the religious connotations? You are a pastor. You're an ordained minister. Is this a religious educational book? Uh, you know, um, is that what it is?
Thank you so much for asking. This book is actually there are three. So the first book, which is the actual book, is a story. You can read that by itself. And a lot of people, when you look on Amazon, some of the comments that people have written, they have actually just read the book in one sitting, because it's a story. It's a true story of what happened. And
Okay.
because of the unusual occurrences that happened in the story, which had a spiritual connotation, I wrote the workbook. And so I put it together to call it a study. But it's actually a book with a workbook with it. And so you can read the book on its own as well. But I'm a teacher, so I like to teach the Word of God. So I like to use both of them, both of them together. So it's not a religious book per se. It's a story. It's a true story of something that happened.
All right.
So
I see
anybody can read it.
all right, but I see the correlations with your religion and the fact that you're a pastor with the book. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit here and ask you, when did you become an ordained minister? When did you get the calling and started preaching the gospel, so to speak?
2001, and ironically, it was only a few days before 911 took place in New York. But I got the call when I became a born again Christian. I was 19 years old. I had lived a life, as so many of us, growing up in the church, the Baptist church. And when I was 19 years old, I knelt beside my chair in my room on campus, and I just gave my life to the Lord. And I knew that there was a calling on my life. I knew that I was called to preach. So when I did go to Africa with my husband to Congo, I had an opportunity immediately because I helped a pastor to start a church, and in the church, my husband and I were very involved in that church. In fact, everywhere we've gone, we've been involved. But in 2001, my pastor in the U.S. ordained me as a minister, so I can marry people, I can bury people, I can do it all. Yes, so
Yeah,
that's kind of it.
yeah. I actually did my little research because I was talking to you off camera before, and I found out that you told me that you were in the ministry, and was an ordained minister, and I was on YouTube, and I seen videos of you preaching. I seen videos of you
Oh,
speaking at churches, and so I said I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Now you mentioned a lot about um, Africa. You've traveled. Um, how was that experience? And tell my viewers, some of the countries you've been to, and some of the experiences that you have had. Because I don't know if you're traveling as a tourist or you're traveling, preaching the word of God because you are a minister, or exactly, what enabled you to travel and visit so many places. So yeah, how does it all come about?
I initially went overseas because my husband's from Congo, Brazzaville. So that's in West Africa. So I went with him. And I wish I could say that it was a glamorous, occasion to just go and go to all these different countries, but it was actually because of oil. My husband worked for an oil company, first of all, Amoco and then Shell. And with
Okay.
Shell, they move you around to different countries. But God is so good. Look what he did. Every single country that I went to, I had an opportunity to also take my briefcase for work and my husband's work, but also take my briefcase to preach the gospel. So every single country that I've lived in, even in Malaysia, where I wrote this book, it's a Muslim
Okay.
country, but I baptized people in Malaysia.
Well, that's Christians all over the world. I understand that.
Yeah,
There's Muslims in America, so I get that.
yeah.
So you Congo, Malaysia, um, you've had an opportunity to travel, see different cultures, and spread the word. Um, how has that changed your life? I'm sure it was an eye-opening experience. It sounds like you were a young girl when you got married and started traveling. How was that experience, and how has that changed your life?
It has been incredible. I mean, I never thought that I would ever go overseas the way that I've done.
Sure.
But it changed me completely. I stayed overseas for 31 years.
Okay.
And I've lived, in several different countries. I've lived in Congo, Gabon, Nigeria, Bordeaux, France, Holland, Malaysia. I've traveled to China, to Vietnam, I mean, just about everywhere. And every country that I have lived in or visited, I've had the opportunity to glean something. But from the beginning, when I moved to Congo, I really went to Congo along with my husband as this little American black girl that was going to be in Congo. And I met a friend, a lady, she was a lawyer, and she said to me, she wasn't a believer, and I don't think she's a believer today, but she says, Rhonda, everywhere you go, make sure the lives of people. And that I became intentional about doing, whether I did it just from doing fundraisers and helping people everywhere I went, because when you look, there were so many needs in a lot of the countries that I lived in. But at the same time, I had a chance as well, to preach the gospel and to minister and to cancel, married couples and young girls and men. And it's been incredible. I mean, I could have never done these things, I think, if I were just, here in the US. So I'm so grateful for the opportunity God gave me.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's DJ Gatsby. It's watching the DJ Gatsby show with my guest, my aunt Rhonda Wilson Dikoko, a world traveler, a minister, and author from Newtonville, Alabama, which is right near my town. I was born in Fayette, Alabama. We're here talking about her book, Release the Dove, her becoming an ordained minister and traveling the world to speak the gospel, to preach the gospel. Right now, so you've been a lot of exotic places. you've always took the word of God and you've always preached the gospel where you're at. It's a blessing to be able to do that. And I see you're very passionate about the work that you've done, the souls you saved, and the souls you brought to Christ during your travels. So you're back in the United States. When did you come back to the United States, and where are you now?
I came back to the US, kicking and screaming, to tell you the truth, because I was in Holland and it was my second time living in Holland. And the first time I lived in Holland, it was so difficult to penetrate, the Dutch culture in terms of being able to really preach Jesus to them. And so the second time was completely different. I was able to, have a platform of very young people around me. And so when I came back, I remember, it's 2018 December, and I was sitting in the airport, and I looked out the window, and there was a rainbow. And I went to take my picture, and there was a double rainbow. And I said, "Okay, God, you're sending me back." So it's December of 2018. I came. My husband was already here in Houston working at Exxon, and so it's been a year and a half. Almost that I've been back, but in Houston. So I've been back in the U.S., but in Houston.
So is there a readjustment period? I mean, is it like culture shock when you're traveling over Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and you come back to Houston, Texas? You've actually been overseas longer than you've been in the United States, obviously. How did you readjust, or have there been, difficulties readjusting?
I must say that it was not as difficult as I thought. Let me explain. The pictures that you saw about the launch that you were asking me about, a lot of those ladies that were there are ladies that I knew overseas in different countries that I lived in. And so I've had an opportunity as soon as I arrived, I have a friend whose name is Carol Smart. She did a huge come home party for me, introduced me to a lot of other people. I, met up with people that I knew in different countries. So it's really, Houston has been it's an oil hub actually. So it's been easy in that respect. But as far as coming back to the US and Rhonda Wilson, Dikoko, that has been hard. I'm having difficulty finding my footing. I think now I'm a little bit more smooth sailing, but I'm happy to be back. I wanted to come home. At some point, I never knew that it would be, it would happen as it did, and I could not be more grateful to God for this. It was for this opportunity. It was a God opportunity.
Sure. Well, listen, you've definitely been blessed. To live a charmed life, doing everything that you've done, to be a young lady from a small town like Fayette, just like me. You followed your passion, you followed your dreams, your steps were ordered by God, and you've been obedient. So you're back in the United States, you're in Texas. The work that you've done overseas doesn't stop. It has to continue. And how has it continued since you've been here? I know you're an ordained minister and you return home. What are you doing now? You still traveling? You still preaching the gospel? You're still, an ordained minister, and God has work for you to do. So what are you currently doing now?
Wow, thank you. When I came back, I went back to my first profession, nursing. Okay. I met some wonderful clients, which I still have love. They've become family for me. Okay. And then at the same time, I had an opportunity to do my Bible study with a group of women. And so I kind of move around in small groups and teach and preach, not preaching per se, but teach. But in my church back in Alabama, my pastor does call me back as frequently as he can, or whenever he knows that I'm passing through town. He's like, "Evangelist, come and preach." So that's mainly where I have been. I've been preaching. I've had, that's my church. That's double portion in Tuscaloosa. But that's it. And I'm writing another book that I started writing 2 or 3 years ago. It's called The Sacred Words of a Sage Femme. And a sage femme is a midwife. So that's a whole nother topic. So I'm writing, that as well at this time.
All right. So we do have another book coming, and that you're currently working on. Um, when can we look for that book? Is it done? It's in the works. It's you don't have a release date or anything. You're still writing it.
Well, the Sacred Words of Asashvam is going to be a compilation of stories from my spiritual sons and daughters from all over the world,
Okay.
and just experiences that I have had as well. So they're sending me stories. When I say, can you, send me your story? Do you mind if I publish, the experience that you had with me?
Okay.
And so they've been sending it to me. And of course, I'll sit and I'll pour it and I'll cry and like, oh my God, so it's hope. My deadline is December, but you know what? I thought I was going to publish this book 2 years ago, and then life happened, and I didn't. So
Yeah,
I
writers
just,
know. Yeah, writers know that a deadline for finishing the book is just the first part of it. There's
yeah,
so many other things that go into the editing and then the publishing and things of that nature. But finishing the book and having a deadline, it's something that writers try to do. But listen, you can't rush perfection, and you want to make God laugh. Just tell him what your plans are. So you're trying to be done by December, and that may not be what's best. Once again, it's DJ Gatsby. I'm here tickled to death with my aunt Rhonda Wilson, who I've actually never met in person. We actually met on Facebook, along with Betty and Sarah and so many others. And it's just a blessing to have met you and started the process of getting to know you, through phone calls and things of that nature. But to have you, realize who I am and what it is I do, and for me to do the same and say, hey, listen, we have something in common. We can work together, and something that we're very passionate about. So we're having a wonderful time. So big shout to all my other aunts and uncles out there. I met Betty. I met Betty already when she came to New York City, but I didn't meet Sarah yet, which I probably will see before you because I'm sure I'll be going to Fed at some point in time. So,
absolutely.
what's next um, for you? I mean, you've accomplished a lot. You told me what you're currently doing. What are some of the other hopes, dreams, and passions that you have yet to conquer that could possibly be in your future? What's next for you?
I plan on doing a whole lot of traveling still, but
There you go.
I,
Back to your passport
I
must
might
be
be
your
either.
passport must
I
have
live in
a
the sky,
green
so
stamp on it by now. Gee.
but my dream, and it wasn't actually my dream to begin with, but the story released in love. I really encourage people to get the story, even if they don't get the workbook, because this is a true story that happened during Easter. It's a miracle. It's a miraculous story,
Okay.
and someone held this book in their hands in Nigeria, and they fell prostrate on the ground, and they said, "This is going to become a movie." And so that is my dream. That it's really going to become a movie. I've done a few things to push that a little bit, and then I thought, you know what, God,
Okay.
I'm going to wait and let you open the doors because you know how to open the doors, better than I do.
Yes.
So that is my dream. To have that on the screen.
All right. Well, listen. That's what most writers do who really believe in their projects and believe in their writing, that it's a story that needs to be read and it's a story that needs to be seen on the screen. So, we pray that, that your prophesizing, from your mouth to God's ears, that you want the book to reach more people and possibly be into a movie. So kudos to you on that. Now, we're gonna break away a little bit. What about our people down in Fayette? How is everybody doing? How's mom and everybody doing down there? It's a big shout out to Fayette. I can't say enough about Fayette and my family down there. I grew up in New York and missed you guys, so many people, in doing my life, and now moving to Georgia gives me the opportunity to finally keep on, reaching out to everyone in my family, on my mom's side and my dad's side. It's kind of a never-ending thing, but I thank God for bringing all my family back into my life. I thank you so much for coming on the show. We've talked off camera. You've been very inspirational. You've been very motivational. You're praying for me, and you've been a voice of reason in so many ways. So I just want to thank you again, for coming back into my life. You were already in my life when I was in Fayette, but coming back in and all that you've done. Now, it's just a 30-minute show. I need you to promise that you come back on in the future. We'll talk about more things in depth, your ministry, as well as your writing career and your world travels. I want to hear about some of these places that you've been and some of the things that you accomplished and the work that you've done. But before we go, is there anything you need to say to family, friends, Carol and the whole team back there in Houston? Any shout outs or anything you want to say to the people who supported you and believed in you during your journey?
Thank you so much. I first want to thank you for, really allowing me to be on the show. I want to thank Gary. He's one of my dear sons. I don't know if he's on, but he's the one that pushes me. He pushes me a lot because, like I said, if it's up to me, I'd be behind the scenes, but he's like my marketing person. He's like, no, Miss Rhonda, you need to do this and that. I want to thank Carol. She's just, I call her my gem. She's, she's just really been there for me. I want to thank my family. I've been away for so long. And Betty, Sarah, Tommy, Don, they've all been holding the fort, taking
big
care
family.
of my mom.
Big family.
Yeah, a huge family. But my mother actually came with me overseas.
Through the whole 30 years?
She came with me. No, she came with me on a trip to France. She was to France and to Nigeria.
All right, listen, Mom's got to get away too. Mom said, y'all ain't leaving me down here in Fayette all this time. I'm jumping on plane too. So that's good for him. She was a great experience and something she enjoyed, and the memories will last forever.
She did that. She did that at 75, and that was my husband that every year would say, Mom, you need to come with us. So she finally did it at 75, and that was probably one of my most memorable. But that's it. And I just want to say to everybody, keep the faith. We're going through a difficult time, with COVID, but at the same time, I don't even like mentioning that because God is doing something behind the scenes. And I want us to remain confident that the God in whom we trust, He is doing something in your life. And I know a lot of people are feeling down. I know that there are many people that are going through a lot at this time, but I want you to continue.
It's a rough time.
Yeah.
Yeah, people always say to God.
You wrote something that I saw today, and I was like, my nephew has the right idea. You took off your mask, you were 6 feet from I don't know who, and you smiled.
I was in a parking lot. Me and my wife was away from everything. But I mean, I'm at home. I take off my mask. But when everyone goes out, you're so afraid of COVID. You're so afraid of contracting the disease that you just don't breathe. There's a moment that you can take and realize that it's okay. I'm not have to worry. The enemy is not trying to attack me. So that's what I was just trying to say. Take a minute, take a breath, take the mask off. Of course, not around anybody.
Yes.
But enjoy your life for a minute. There ain't no stopping us now. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this. And just kind of take a minute to enjoy yourself. But I'm not a philosopher. I don't really say too many profound things.
No, but the
every
thing
once in a while, every once in a while, I'll have a few words of wisdom or an inspirational quote or moment that I want to share because social media is my business. Social media is my way to communicate with people. From TV shows to radio shows, blogs, podcasts, and things of that nature. So, yeah, I take a minute to kind of speak to those who care enough about to hear what I have to say. So, yeah. Once again, everybody, it's DJ Gatsby. We're here with Rhonda Wilson Dikoko. She's talking about her book, her passion, her ministry, and all she has done. Listen, we got to go. I wish I could stay longer and continue our conversations to get more in depth about the things that you're so very passionate about. But again, promise me that you'll come back on the show at another time. We'll discuss, more about you. You're not just my aunt. You're a very interesting personality. You're a woman of God, and you're on a mission. And I be a part of it, and doing whatever it is I can to help you spread that message. So everybody, so if they can follow you on social media, I don't know if you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, how can people follow you? Email address or something if you want to contact you about your ministry, contact you about your books. How can they contact you?
I've got several means of contacting me. For my
Okay.
books, you can get them from Amazon.com. Just put in my name. You pronounce it properly, Rhonda Wilson Dikoko, Release the Dove, and the books come up.
Okay.
My web is page is www.releasethedove.com. I also just this Saturday, Friday and Saturday, I'm actually doing a fashion show. I'll be emceeing, and I'll also have an opportunity to have my books there. So have a look at that. If you want to come and eat African food, any of my Houstonians, please come out. And just to shout out to my husband, to my kids, my children, my family, and my friends. Love you guys so much. Thank you.
All right. Well, everybody, as you know, you can follow me, DJ Gatsby, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as DJ Gatsby, or the real DJ Gatsby. On the talk show pretty much every day, every other day. You can, 6:30 p.m. Facebook Live. You'll see if I'm up. You can watch this show on Facebook Live, Facebook Watch on your smart TV or streaming apps, and Instagram TV, as well as YouTube TV. I want to give a big shout out to Elvin Nelson Hayes from Elvin Nelson Hayes Productions. We have one of her authors is going to be my guest on Friday. It's Arif Khatib. We're also going to have Sid Zaki Stevens. She was on my show a few weeks ago talking about sudden infant death syndrome and her project to raise money and awareness for sudden infant death syndrome. And we have another show on Sunday. I don't really have an artist booked for that show yet, but look for me again back on the air Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this week. Listen, Auntie, I love you. I can't wait to meet you. I need a hug.
Thank you. The same.
But
Hugs,
thank you for coming
hugs.
on the show. They're virtual hugs. Everything's virtual right now. But thank you for coming on the show, and we'll definitely have you back. So good night. God bless everybody. Thank you for watching. Remember, share this broadcast, share the DJ Gatsby show. Go to Amazon.com and get Release the Dove by Rhonda Wilson Dikoko. And we'll see you back here, Facebook Live, Friday, October 30th at 6:30 p.m. where my guest will be celebrated author Arif Khatib. Right, Auntie, good night. God bless. I'll talk to you. Tell the
Thank
family I
you.
said hello. And I'm looking forward to meet each and every one of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Good night. Thank
Good
you so
night. God
much.
bless. Don't forget to
Good night,
vote on November
everybody.
the 3rd and stay COVID free.
Yes. Absolutely.